What's going on, everyone? Welcome on in to day one of March Madness recap and reactions. It has been a wild day. Quite a few upsets, really close games. Duke almost lost and shattered my bracket from the jump. But I'm just excited to get into it here tonight. Games are still rolling into the evening. I have Illinois and Penn on the monitor next to me so we can react live time, I guess. But yeah, I'm going to try and get this uploaded as soon as possible. We'll do reactions every day. Just want to thank you guys for the support on the last video. That was our first video in a year, and it became our most popular video in hours. Now, unfortunately, Jake wasn't able to make it on today, but the Sorcerers surge ahead here. So as you can see, here's our bracket, but we are just going to go game by game and talk about what happened, why did it happen, and what does it mean for our brackets. Because at the end of the day, let's be honest, as long as the 1 seeds, the 2 seeds survive, it doesn't really matter. Like 7 over 10 or 10 over a 7, 9 over an 8, most likely those teams are going to go on to lose. So as long as your 1s and your 2s and your 3s survive so far, you're in pretty good shape. Like, I've been sweating out some of these games, but like at the end of the day, it's really not going to matter. But this one certainly mattered. Siena was a feisty bitch. I mean, Howard here was pretty feisty. Look, 46-50 at half. They kept it pretty close. Michigan pulled away in the second half, but Siena had the lead for the majority of this game. I think Duke went off 7-0 at the beginning, but then Siena had the lead pretty good into the second half. Now, fortunately, Duke was able to get hot. I think the combination of just, these 1 seeds kind of feeling a little overconfident against these 16s and not taking them too seriously. And also, Siena was just hot. And obviously Howard was here as well, but Duke's a little bit more important for us considering we picked them for the national championship. So that was the one I had my attention on. But yeah, no, just happy that the 1 seeds pulled it off. But I am a little worried about Duke. I wish they played better. I still like them against TCU, but going forward, I don't feel great about it. All right, so yeah, Michigan State, Nebraska, Arkansas, they were in control of all 3 of these games pretty much the whole way. As you can see, Michigan State, 20-point lead at half. North Dakota State, pretty solid second half performance there, but, a bit too late. Now, Troy, I think they were kind of getting after Nebraska at the very beginning of this game, but obviously Nebraska was like, we want our first NCAA tournament win, and they went ahead and got it in overwhelmingly fashion. This is probably one of the biggest deficits of the entire day so far. And here you have Arkansas and Hawaii, not a very competitive game. Here we go, guys. The 12 over 5 that we predicted came to fruition. I was at work today trying to monitor this game as it was going on, sweating my ass off at my desk. Like, oh my God, High Point, they were feisty like Siena was, but they actually closed it. They actually sealed the deal at the end, and wow, I mean, super impressive performance out of High Point. I think they even left some out there on the table, but that's just kind of how it is going to be. I mean, we'll get to VCU and North Carolina. I feel like both of these teams could have pulled off the upsets in a little bit of a more dominant fashion, but hey, I mean, they just waited until the end to make their shots. And yeah, again, I just feel like Wisconsin got a little complacent. South Florida was probably the most picked underdog today. High Point also pretty popular. So you think Wisconsin would have heard that during the week and kind of fought back against that mentality and kind of, in a way, been more aggressive, a little bit tighter, knowing everyone's picking them. Not everyone, but a lot of people are considering them to be upset. Clearly, not enough. High Point, just super impressive. And at the end of the day, we picked them because of process of elimination. Like, let's go over to the bracket here. And I was explaining this to somebody, like, why did I pick High Point over Wisconsin? It's not because I felt great that High Point was going to win. It's because I knew you have to have a 12 over 5 upset in your bracket, at least one. Last year there were 2. This year there was no obvious pick because, I mean, last year Colorado State was favored over Memphis. Like, that was a pretty easy 12/5. I mean, I just really like St. John's. Vanderbilt, McNeese pulled it off last year. Don't see that happening again, even though they were pretty competitive for the majority of that game. The final score doesn't really indicate how close it was. And then we talked about Texas Tech and Akron. Like, I think Texas Tech, they've lost a lot of their last few games. They lost, I think, 4 in a row, including in the tournament, the Big 12 tournament. I think they're just going to come out ready to play. Akron, everyone's picking them. That's another very popular underdog upset that I'm not seeing, but hey, it could still happen tomorrow. And so, yeah, it just kind of led me to be like, all right, High Point it is, right? So very grateful that actually came to fruition. This one was also looking like it might. I mean, McNeese was up early, like big early. Vanderbilt was actually able to reclaim the lead at the end of the half. So, yeah, that was a really good game. South Florida clawed their way back. I mean, they were down by nearly 20 points at points in this game here. I mean, they just had this insane second half surge where they outscored Louisville. But, through the first half and, the first half and then half of the second half, I would say Louisville was pretty dominant. Then we get to our second upset that we had picked here today. VCU over North Carolina. Now, again, man, both of these teams left a lot on the table. I mean, North Carolina, what an abysmal choke. You're up by 19 points. 19 points. Like, this is very similar to the Louisville game where North Carolina was up in first half and they continued, and then like halfway through the second half, they just collapsed. Now, Louisville was able to, close it out. North Carolina was not. VCU could have ended this in regulation. They could have blew them out in overtime. I mean, like you could see here, they only put up 3 points. I think that was, like one shot from the paint and then one free throw. I mean, I watched almost all this game in overtime, though. It was tough to watch just because VCU was missing shots left and right. I mean, both teams were free throws missing left and right. Neither team could hit the broadside of the barn. Fortunately, VCU comes out on top. So the two big upsets that we had for day one here actually happened. High Point over Wisconsin, and you have VCU over North Carolina, which North Carolina was only 2.5-point favorites. So nothing like, I'm not going to go crazy patting myself on the back. But again, you need to have at least one 11/6. And, here's one where we missed it. This was one, I said it was a tough game. I didn't love BYU. I think I literally called them pretty mediocre or mid. Don't love using those terms, but just didn't really have a better word to describe them. Like, they're solid. They're in a good conference. But, yeah, I mean, Texas played well. They got some momentum from the NC State play-in game. I just don't like taking the play-in teams to really go too far. I do feel good about Gonzaga over BYU. Now, Gonzaga's got to win this game here, which has been pretty tight early against Kennesaw State. But I do like Gonzaga there. So I am glad, early in some of my brackets, I was taking BYU to go on a little run here like they did last year. They were in the same spot as the 6th seed. They beat VCU again. Then they beat Wisconsin, made it to the Sweet 16. So I'm glad I ended up switching that to Gonzaga just to cover my bases because I didn't love BYU in the spot. But again, guys, that game hopefully at the end of the day is not going to matter unless Texas goes on a little bit of a Cinderella, which is crazy to call Texas a Cinderella. But in this case, it kind of would be. They're an 11 seed that played in a play-in game. So, yeah, we'll see how that pans out. Texas A&M here staying within the state. This was never really competitive. A&M was up from the jump, and I'm very happy I picked St. Mary's because this was one of those go-either-way games, and I honestly just kind of got lucky with it. I was, these two SEC games, honestly, this Georgia one right here as well, I just didn't have a great feel for. I was contemplating just going all SEC and then, hoping a couple of them, 2 or 3 come through. But I, ended up mixing it up here with Miami going over Missouri. And so I'm just glad that, A&M ended up pulling this off. I think they were underdogs. Maybe they were like a point or 2.5 favorite. But yeah, clearly that was one of the, I'd say one of the worst games, honestly, of the first day here. Here you have an insane game. This one's probably my just most disappointing of my self-pick because I originally wanted to take TCU. Everyone the last few days taking Ohio State. I didn't hear a single soul pick TCU. But, again, Ohio State's rated better. They clearly, look, in the second half here, they outscored TCU by 13. I mean, just put up more than 24 in the first half. That might be the weakest first half performance of the entire day. And yeah, I mean, North Dakota State even put up more points in the first half. That's embarrassing. Wow, you're tied with Idaho for the least points in the first half. That's unacceptable. If you're Ohio State, you could have easily had this game. And I'm disappointed. I'm upset at myself for picking Ohio State because I had a feeling TCU is going to pull this off. And it does worry me a little bit. Now, again, we talked about 9s have like a 55% win rate over 8s. But I have a couple more 9s here. I have Iowa and I have Utah State. And St. Louis here is up on Georgia big, man. Georgia's getting their ass kicked. This is another game that's going on. It's at halftime right now, but while we're recording this is going on. And I'm worried about Georgia in this spot. But again, either of these teams are going to lose to the 1 seed. And so that's why, I was sweating out this game. First game of the day, first game of the whole tournament. I'm like, damn. Gonna start off on a sour note. Last year, I think the first game was Creighton and Louisville. That one I got right. This one got wrong, but I really do feel like the 1 seeds are just going to eliminate whoever comes out of these games anyway. So not too concerned about that. So if you guys are in a similar boat, don't worry. Looks like we're going to end the day with like 3 or 4 games wrong here. Not a bad start to the day at all. I have this cool website up here that I wanted to take a look at, showing you the percentages for the future matchups here. So they're saying Duke's got an 86% chance over TCU. That's pretty crazy considering how we just saw Duke play. Let's see if they have some of these spreads already available. Yep, here we go. Duke is 10.5-point favorites. That does not really reflect an 86% chance of winning, but whatevs. They're giving Michigan State 57% over Louisville. I like that. Some of these games haven't happened yet, so that's why they show all these teams. Yeah, it's a really well-built website. So yeah, we'll see how Florida and who's the other 1 seed? Arizona play tomorrow. Let's see here. Like if we give Illinois the win, let's give Illinois the win. They're giving Illinois a 74% chance over VCU. Okay. Houston here is obviously going to win. Sorry, Idaho. They have an 82% chance. They're giving Vanderbilt 63% over Nebraska. That is what we like to see. What else do we want to play around with here? They are giving, let's say Gonzaga wins, giving Gonzaga a 70% chance over Texas. Okay. Now those games have tipped off. Now these games have tipped off. Let's say if St. Louis wins. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, so I think we're in good shape, guys. It's kind of all I wanted to go over. Pretty fun day, though, if you ask me. Let's look at some of these spreads. Arkansas is 10.5 over High Point. Vanderbilt's only 2.5 over Nebraska. I feel like the odds on Odds God would indicate that would have been a larger spread. Michigan State, 4.5 over Louisville. That sounds about right. So yeah, let's look at the spreads for tomorrow. 3.5 Kentucky. Okay. So we'll probably see some more chaos and carnage tomorrow. Alabama only 11.5 over Hofstra. Tennessee as well. Miami of Ohio was really impressive last night over SMU. Wasn't even really close toward the end. Iowa, this game's really, really stressing me out here. All my siblings went to Iowa, so that's a little bit of an emotional game for me. Probably should have picked Clemson because of that. But yeah, guys, I think that's everything. We're in good shape. I like it so far. You can't expect to be perfect early on. I mean, last year we missed several games in the first round. We missed the St. Mary's Vanderbilt. We missed Drake, Missouri. We missed, obviously, McNeese and Clemson. I think there were maybe 1 or 2 more that we missed. So we're on pace to hopefully be around there, unless tomorrow is just an absolute disaster. But thank you guys for tuning in. Comment your thoughts. Who are you feeling? Who are you liking? Maybe you like Duke less now. Maybe you're like, well, Michigan, I think, really raised their stock. I think you might be right about that. But again, it's Howard. It's Siena. 16 seeds. I don't think we can glean too much info off those games. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye now. We'll see you tomorrow, actually.